Blessings of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. My name is Itwa Igodalo, and I'm happy to be here with us on today's edition of the Nigerian Leadership Series by the African Leadership Group. I'm really glad that I'm able to make it today. It's been quite a tedious day. We've just laid to rest one of my very good friends and a great leader in Nigeria, Bolu Akinolugbade. My words of comfort and strength go to Laduni, his wife, his three wonderful boys who now have to make sure they look after their mother. It is my prayer that God will keep all of us safe and sound in this period of our lives. Today, we're going to be speaking with a man who could qualify as a youth, but also a very, very mature youth, and also a mature person because he has been in politics for quite a long time at different levels. Married, born 20th of April 1970 from Bauchi State. He attended the SLB Primary School in Plateau State, Commonwealth College of Commerce in Zaria Road, Jos, Diploma in Computer, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, BSc Political Science, University of Abuja, and also did some certification in Dubai and also at the Louisville Packford Foundation, USA. He has a master's in international affairs and strategic studies from the Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna. From 1990, our guest today has been active in politics, starting as a member of the Social Democratic Party, 1995, youth leader, United Nigerian Congress Party, UNCP, became a special assistant to the late Alhaji Abubakar Rimi, the former governor of Kano State, 1998, member GH Political Group, and also SA to late Abubakar Rimi. And that GH metamorphosized into the PDP. He became chairman PDP National Electoral Appeal Panel in Rivers and Cross River State. 2007, special duties, IBB presidential campaign. Member, People's Democratic Party National Convention Subcommittee, special advisor to on politics and strategy to Issa Yaguda, ANPP, May 2007 to April 2010, must have been chief of staff to the Bauchi state government. 2011, Deputy Director General Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Organization. 2011, ANPP Deputy Gubernatorial Candidate for Bauchi State. And then recently, in the 2019 elections, Vice Presidential Candidate of the Social Democratic Party in the 2019 elections. Presently, is the National Secretary of the Social Democratic Party. Widely traveled, been to many, many countries. Please welcome with me Alhaji Shehu Gabam. Alhaji Shehu Gabam, you are most welcome in the mighty name of the Almighty God. Thank you very, very much for agreeing to be on this platform. And we're going to go very quickly into a session of questions and direction to see what the leadership thinking is. But before we go into that, I have a quick clip I want to play. From no other person than a gentleman who has been reputed to lead one of the strongest economies in the world, a gentleman called Kuan. So as we play that, I'd like Alhaji Shehu to please open his camera so that we can see his face, and then we'll speak to this little clip by Kuan. Olu, please, can you share the clip of Kuan very quickly? Just bear with us a few minutes while we get it right. I'd like to say Happy New Year to a lot of the faces that I'm seeing today. Okay, here we go with Kuan, this clip, which we all want to listen to very closely.
And I am dead serious when I said the eve of National Day, get our ablest and our best into politics. One key requirement is let's avoid hypocrisy and let's do this thing honestly, approximate the market rate. Try and get the government on the cheap, you end up with a cheap government and you'll be sorry for yourselves. First job of a government is to equalize opportunities, right? Not equalize results. You equalize results, you're done for. You end up with what Deng Xiaoping calls the iron rice bowl. Nobody works, everybody does his minimum, very little rice in the bowl. What made the difference in Singapore was that a group of men in 1963, 64, 65, when we were in Malaysia, we decided that we are going to live only one life. If we have to die, we will die for a cause. That made Singapore possible. We couldn't be placated and settle for less. To settle personally for a way out for yourself was easy. You vote in jokers, cracks, weak men, charlatans with some gift of the gab. You run a very serious risk of losing everything you have. Your future really depends on what you make of it. The government can give you that framework, can give expression to the will of a people, but the people must have their will. If you don't have it, there's nothing a government can do.
Thank you very much. That was a quotation by one of the greatest leaders of this generation, albeit of the last few years. This was a man who took Singapore from third world to first world in a period of about 40 years. By the time Singapore left Malaysia around the early 60s, they were backwater, worse than a lot of parts of Nigeria. And he has explained there a few of the things that he needed to do to make Singapore work. Number one, get the best brains. And I know that at the time, Singapore will look for the best Singaporeans, send them to the best schools all over the world, including Oxford and Cambridge, like himself, and then bring them back and get them to work in the civil service. Number two, avoid hypocrisy, avoid double speech, avoid insincerity, avoid people who do not mean what they say and say what they mean. Number three, equalize opportunity. Equalize opportunity. Don't get the tin rice bowl effect where what you do is to equalize results. Says if you equalize results, you end up with people not performing and people not competing, and you end up with people who are not able to deliver the goods. And then it says, we have only one life to live. If we need to die, we need to die for a cause. And that he's speaking to the inability of Nigerians and Nigeria to have the Nigerian dream. I think part of our challenge in this country is that we've not all been able to come together and say, this is the Nigerian dream. Let us all collectively die for the cause of the benefit of the larger Nigeria. Die for a cause. Don't settle for less. And I like the last one that he says, your future depends on what you make of it. Your future is in your own hands. My dear brother, Alhaji Shehu Musa Gabam, you are most welcome to the African Leadership Group, the Nigerian Leadership Series. Please unmute yourself, and I'm going to be asking you a few questions. Please unmute yourself. I'm going to be asking you a few questions. I want to welcome everybody. I see my dear Yalode. It's good to see you. Ekwelema. God bless you. God will look after you. Sheiks, thank you. Peter, I see you all the way from Ewohimi. That's my local government chairman. Lawrence, my cousin, I see you. Shola Oshodi, where have you been? Sunday Bill, Charles, Olati, Bambo, how are you? How's the UK? I hope you're enjoying your lockdown. And my cousin Shehu Johnson, Olumide Jose, my old classmate. God bless you all. Now, please tell me, Alhaji, what's the thinking for Nigeria? Lee Kuan Yew says we need to get the best. We need to avoid hypocrisy. Why do you think Nigeria is where it is and Nigeria is really not working? Thank you. Over to you.
Well, first and foremost, let me express my gratitude to you, my brother, Guadalo. Your unwavering commitment to our country and your untiredness to make sure that we are on the same platform so that we can discuss issues that is affecting all of us collectively as a people, as a nation. I want to thank you for creating this platform for us to discuss and ventilate our concern. Secondly, let me say that I am a committed Nigeria. I believe in Nigeria. I believe in the greatness of Nigeria now and forever. And given my experience as somebody who went to Liberia during the war, as somebody who was in Lagos during June 12th, as somebody who also visited Maiduguri and Yobe during the intense heat of Boko Haram, and given the history of our turbulence as a nation, and also as somebody who visited Singapore, the Lincoln you just played now, it's like a miracle. You see how Singapore has been turned into. It shows clearly that nobody owns anything. What you can do as a human being is a service that you can render to your nation, to your people. We believe in collectivism. I believe in collectivism. I believe nobody is perfect. I also believe that there is no nation that is perfect. Nations are full of crises or issues, and all nations are about conflict resolutions, ability to overcome such issues. As regard to our situation right here at home, I think we lost it at so many points. Our inability to appreciate each other, our inability to appreciate our diversity as a people, our inability to build talents, our inability to bring people that matter, that have the capacity to transform this country, to build all policies and programs of assimilation so that it will be seamless. All divisions, all agitations that we are going through is a result of bad leadership that we've been going through for quite a long time, ranging from military regime to a transitional period of democracy in 1999. But the biggest hit of it all was in 1999, when quintessential great politicians agreed to come together and restore democracy. And of course, there was a dialogue between the top political class as of then, who started negotiating with the military apparatus to ensure that we restore democracy. And of course, at that particular time, the thinking of the political class was that there's likelihood that the military will strike again. And of course, for you to have a career politicians who understand the dynamics of the country, who understand what it takes to keep the country going, who have traveled to every corners and corners of this country, was quite skeptical about if democracy is going to last. So they pulled out, they did not participate fully. People who have criminal record, who are not politicians, have know nothing about politics, but acquired money through all kinds of sources, had their way through, used their resources, and of course got elected into offices. So the electoral process was ruptured. So many vices were brought in. Of recent, what we are suffering from is vote buying, which is a major fundamental blow to our democratic foundation. That if you don't have the money, you cannot be voted in, no matter how credible, no matter how intelligent, no matter how sophisticated you are in terms of driving the system forward. So for me, 2023, what manner of leaders? My observations are as follows. One, 2023 required a leader who understands the peculiarities of our country, our geopolitical differences that was destined by God, which we don't have immediate solution to it. We are born differently. Nobody pleaded with God to create him where he is. And nobody pleaded with his parents to born him where he was born. So we must have a leader who will understand our peculiarities, the topography of our system, our country, the dislocations that was created by so many segments of our society, politicians, the media men. We are all culprits in ensuring that where we are today. And number two, 2023 required a man with a capacity and a very large heart to accommodate our cultural differences, our circumstances, must have that very large heart. We don't need a leader with a very short fuses who can easily get triggered and of course end up hitting out the political process. So we need someone who is refined, who understand that a nation is about crisis and the ability to navigate those crises, an ability to bring all the different segments of our society together so that we can understand each other more, we can appreciate each other more. Nobody owns a land or a country. Everybody one day will transit out of this world, either in your community or in your local government or in your state or in your country. And nobody will carry a pen to his grave to claim the ownership of anything. So which means that whatever we are doing, our fundamental commitment is to build a very strong society with strong fundamental pillars that can create a future for a future generations and our children or our grandchildren or even children unborn. This is the legacy that we should struggle to leave behind, not a legacy of amassing wealth, not a legacy of creating disparity between people, creating enmity between people. I am a product of Nigeria. I'm a Fulani by background, but those who trained me and made me who I am are not just Fulanis. It's a combination of all tribes, of all mentalities that imputed in me and made me who I am. My loyalty is to my country and to Nigerians who have added value to who I am as a human being. The third one is that 2023 required a leader who believe and understand the power of institutions, the independent of institutions, the independent of the three arms of government, so that they can function in a capacity that they can checkmate the excesses of one another. We must be able to have a national assembly that have its own sort of funding independent apart from the executive. We should be able to have a very strong judiciary that can determine a case without interference of any arms of government through the process of fairness, justice, and equity. The moment these institutions are weak, it's always very possible for all issues to be influenced by the executive. Because largely, part of the predicament that we are suffering today is simply because the, the executive are responsible for all the recklessness, all the lawlessness, all the corruption, all the psychophancy, all the eye service in the government. And they are responsible for messing up the system because there's lack of capacity to drive the process. And since they are the ones that are responsible for releasing funds to the National Assembly, for also releasing funds to the judiciary, those arms of government are completely under or they are controlled, if not completely, to a large extent. They control the functionality of those arms of government. So in that regard, you will hardly get a very sound parliament. you will hardly have a very sound judgment that can stand the test of time on the basis of fairness and justice and equity, and on the basis of strengthening our institution as a country. Number four, 2023 required a very strong leader with a strong will to deal with modern challenges, e.g., like taking a tough decision at the time it is needed and listening to the word of wisdom at the time it is needed. There are times that you cannot afford to stay aloof simply because you are a leader, you are afraid of ethnic issues, regional issues, religious issues, and you become very reluctant in taking a decision that can send a signal and that can create a deterrence to those who feel they are above the law, to those who subvert our laws. The moment you have a leader that doesn't have the will to take a tough decision as when due, the country have to suffer for so many things, including lack of development, lack of equity, lack of justice, and so on and so forth. Number five, 2023 required a detribalized Nigerians who sees every part of Nigeria as his constituency. Because democracy is about the people, the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And as president of Nigeria, based on our electoral laws, you are being elected from every constituency in this country. That is why you have also National Assembly that represents various people that were elected to National Assembly that represent various constituencies of this country. And the National Assembly ought to have been a solution to all these issues that have crippled this country, including strong laws that can enhance efficiency, good environment for investors, and so on and so forth. Number six, 2023 required a leader who understands what modern nations is all about. Critical restructuring into critical sectors, e.g. our Land Use Act need to be restructured. States need to have powers to develop at their own pace based on the natural mineral resources in their own territorial locations or boundaries. They can bring investors into the country to develop their own state, their infrastructure, their health, their educational sectors. In the absence of that, and the population that we are producing, almost over 200 million people, and with less than 300 policemen to police Nigerians, there is no way you cannot continue to have breach of our national security. That brings me to the second point of restructuring of having a state police that can do all that is necessary to protect people from their community. They can report breach of law and order from the community base to local government, to state, and to federal. And the community police will be defined in a way that it will take away the fear of some politicians that the governors or other people will take advantage of state police to hunt their opponents, and so on and so forth. It will be structured in a way, given the array of lawyers that we have, that in a situation where there is a conflict of interest and the governor decides to abuse the process, we can always deploy federal force to take care of some of those fears and worry. But not, we cannot ignore this fact simply because we are worried about the system will be abused. I could remember when President Babangida was in power, this act of privatization and commercialization was a bold step. Otherwise, Nigeria would have remained a landlocked kind of economy. It wouldn't have been open to where it is today. A country must take tough decisions at a time, even though we have experienced a lot of criminality at that particular time because we have weak institutions that doesn't have the capacity to checkmate crimes and criminality that are flooding into the country because we have opened our economy. So you need a leader who understands the modern challenges and can deal with them squarely, can mobilize the nation from the national to the state to the local government so that we can go into critical restructuring of vital areas that can open up the economics of the states. We cannot continue to depend on federal subvention to run our states. The country cannot stand that the state will go on their knees. Most of the states now cannot pay their salaries simply because we rely on federal subvention. The oil have gone down. The oil is fizzling out. So we need to create something that will diversify our economy, that will take care of population. And then, of course, the number 7, the 2023 required a career politicians who understand the dynamics, challenges of our communities. It is only a career politician that have traveled to virtually every community, have understand the need of community. What is critical? Do they need clinical centers? Do they need bridges? Do they need hospitals? Do they need schools? These are key things that politicians, career politicians understand. If you go and bring somebody who is either an ex-military general or who has been in the medical field or engineering sector, simply because politics is perceived as a center of making money, and he's been in that, to move into that simply because he wants to acquire money. He doesn't understand the dynamics, the feelings, the sensitivities of the people that reside in our rural communities. So I have traveled to every state of the Federation of Nigeria. I have interfaced with all the state actors that matters. I have the pulse of the feelings of the people, including agitations and so on and so forth, which are easily to be resolved if you have a career politician who understand that power is about conflict and conflict resolution. So these are very, very critical. Number 8, 2023 required a visionary leader who understand the need to develop an environment that is secured, that can create economic prosperity, can create political stability. In the absence of secured environment that can attract investors into a country, you cannot have economic viability, you cannot have political stability. So which means our aim in 2023 is to ensure that whoever we are bringing on board must be somebody who is full of energy, can work 24 hours, can reach out to every corner of this country 24 hours, have known every state actors in every state of the federation, will have direct access to the state actors if there's any crisis, e.g. in Lagos. He knows the state actors in Lagos that he can reach out to without necessarily waiting for security report. In Sokoto, in Borno, in Delta, in Rivers, in virtually all the state of the federation. That is the kind of leader we need at this stage of our development, at this critical stage of our nation. That at any particular point, that he knows people that he can easily reach out and them of complete execution who understand these dynamics that are involved. Number 10, the 2023 required a leader who understands the danger of unemployment. Therefore, it is critical to create employment in the country, to create jobs, to create a lot of skill acquisition training for our teeming youths that have not gone to school, because education is not just a tool for you to get employed. There are people that if you send them to the best school on earth, to the Harvard University, their brain cannot catch up. They are gifted with different kinds of skills. Those skills need to be developed. America is a nation that develops talents. If you look at the educational rate in America, it's not all of them that have gone to school. Those who have gone to school are migrants who moved into America. Majority of Americans have not gone to school, but because they have a viable economy, their fundamentals are very strong, investors move into the country, they are living a kind of a very comfortable life. So life must be on the basis of what you can do, what value can you add to your society. Those who cannot go to school and have other skills that need to be developed, a leader must create that environment for people to be trained into different kinds of skills. If I could remember vividly during the SAP period, a lot of Nigerians criticize SAP. But if you look at the aim and objective of SAP, is to train people into different kinds of skills so that they can have something to work with. As of then, over here in the north, you hardly get people who are very good in plumbing or electrical and so on and so forth. Most of them are from the south. But that helps a lot in helping people to go into a lot of training. They train a lot of people into different kinds of skills that right now you can find so many people that are into different handwork that are helping the society into building sectors and so on and so forth. And then 2023 required a man who understands the power of technology, the consequences of putting our airspace into control, regulating our airspace, e.g., the Facebook, Twitter, social media. Again, you can see what happened in America. The most powerful citizen on earth, because he was going out of bounds against the rules of the country he governed, he was put off. He was blocked. That is what institution stands for. That is the power of institutions. No individual is above the law. Everybody is a subject of the law. So once we do not regulate our airspace, we will continue to go through what we are going through. You see children who doesn't know their left from their right, they will pick up their phone simply because they differed from you. They will abuse you, they will abuse their parents, and we cannot track them. You can see people being kidnapped using our facilities, our service providers' equipment in Nigeria, negotiate for ransom. They cannot be tracked. This is not possible, not at this age, not at this century. So Nigerian airspace must be very tight, must be regulated. Everybody record must be in place. You can be tracked within a short period of time. When the people invaded the capital of America, you see how the FBI and other security agencies swift into action, but because they have their data, they track them, arrests were made, and quickly they overcome the threat. And they were defined as terrorists, resurrectionists, all sort of things. And that is the society that is open. If you violate the law will define who you are, and the law will categorize you. And I think fundamentally, these are the issues. If we made a mistake by 2023, everything goes. People with money comes in, buy their thinking because poverty has been weaponized. People are using money to buy the conscience of people. Voters will be bought with 3, 4, 5, 10,000, 20,000, and they will fast for another 4 years or wait for another 4 years to change their mind. So we owe it a duty as politicians, as media people. We created a lot of disservice to this country. Politicians are responsible. Media houses are responsible. We have to sensitize the electorate to understand that their fingers matters. They will use their fingers to vote for prosperity, to vote for violence, to vote for peace, to vote for instability. So it is behold on us to educate our people and to reorganize the National Orientation Agency to do their job properly. They are in virtually every community. I could remember when MAMSA was created. They are virtually everywhere. That is what turned into National Orientation Agency. You will hardly heard about National Orientation Agency right now. And finally, we need a leader who believes in Nigeria as his constituency. I'm not a principle or advocate of rotation of power or principle of rotation of power. Power rotation or zoning creates an environment of electing incompetent leaders who do not believe in the country, who are tribal champions or ethnic champions or regional champions. The level of our society today, Nigerians as a nation, need a leader who will push for the development of the country, who will treat every Nigerian equally, not because we don't have them. They are surplus, they are everywhere. But because we have allowed some politicians, some ex-military men to conspire and form a cartel of selecting leaders on our behalf in the boardroom, we end up being where we are today. So until we develop our mindset and our generation begin to work together as a team, and we stop seeing each other simply because I'm a Yoruba man, and there are certain bad eggs in the Yorubas, and therefore all the Yorubas are bad, or all the Igbos are bad, or all the Hausas are bad, the Idomas are bad, or all the Ishekiris are bad, or all the Idomas are bad. You know, until we purge our mindsets from this kind of classification. Every tribe have bad eggs. Every society have bad eggs. Until we begin to put that into our psyche, into our understanding, that we are dealing with a very complex society. Nigeria is a very complicated society. Otherwise, we will not get it right. You know, some years ago, Nigeria was categorized, rated by even US and other countries as a possible country to undergo civil unrest or will disintegrate. But of recent, because of the kind of leadership America have gone through, people are talking about possibility of civil war in America. So it's not about the size of the society. It's about the quality of leader that you have, that have the capacity to bring people together, have the capacity to purge the mindset of people who always think negative, that nothing positive will come out of anybody, or a particular tribe is better, the other one is not better. We are all human beings created with our different talent, with our different capacity. The moment we work together as a team and we believe we can build a very strong society, believe me that no Nigerian will travel out seeking for a better job. Our economy is a very virgin economy. We can develop this economy to the satisfaction of all. We can make a Nigeria a modern city that we can be proud of. Nigerians intelligence agencies are among the best in the world. They excel in any international assignment. So no justification for us to believe or for us to develop inferiority complex that we don't have the best in Nigeria. In every tribe you find them. In every segment, in every region, you find them surplus. So I believe, in summary, these are my research, these are my thinking based on my vast experience of traveling all over the country. And I believe that the poverty ratio is biting in every state of the federation. Everywhere you go, you see people walking with their bare foot without even slippers because of poverty level. So it is a collective thing. It's a nation, and we must accept that we have failed somehow.
Okay, thank you very much, Alhaji Shehu. Very, very well spoken. A lot of clarity of thoughts there. But I'm going to be asking you a few very specific and I dare say hard questions, if you don't mind. I just want to prepare your mind so that you can answer those questions
Go ahead.
fairly, as frankly as you can. Uh, and then please try and keep the answers a bit short because there's quite a lot. And looking at the screen today, I see a lot of people who I'm sure would also want to take you up on a few questions. Number one, a lot of people do not really think that Nigeria is one nation, and we have too much diversity to wield ourselves into one nation. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. And then number two, of the last few years, we have been beleaguered by this issue of Fulani herdsmen. Fulani herdsmen who go into the forests, different parts of Nigeria. I've watched some very gory videos over the last few days, beheading people, raiding, raping girls, taking advantage of community, and so on and so forth. And it's almost as though our present government either is supporting this activity, colluding, looking the other way, or they are trying to tell us they don't have the capacity to deal with this issue. And I don't know why in 2021, the issue of cattle transportation should also be so cultural and still be at the level that it is, that this has become almost a national issue. I'd like to know your thoughts very quickly and briefly on these two or three things that I have mentioned.
Well, I'm happy that you are an enlightened person. I'm sure you have gone through our archives as a nation. If you look at our pre-independence period, certainly you know that even before independence, Nigeria have been trading with one another. We know ourselves, we know our cultural backgrounds and so on and so forth. Those that are responsible for creating the tendency to suggest that Nigeria is not one are those who benefited from Nigeria. Take a look at the class of people that Nigeria have sent to school, went to the best school on earth, gave them the best jobs, gave them houses, gave them vehicles. Today, they are the same class of people who are saying Nigeria is not the same, but they are the ones who make Nigeria at early stage. They're supposed to be the champions of reducing the acrimony, the divisions because of what nature have produced based on our various backgrounds, our cultural, religious affiliations that led to what it is. Above all, inequity, lack of justice, and fairness is responsible for people to feel that Nigeria is not one. But then, closely, if you look at during Shagari regime, you find out that there were no agitation because there was a balance of issues. There's a sense of belonging that was displayed across the length and breadth of Nigeria. So for me, a nation that is developing like Nigeria with hundreds of different ethnic and tribal issues must go through these challenges. There is no two ways about it. We are not like even nations that are just one tribe and what have you are going through some difficulties. So diversity has its own consequences. But in the absence of having a visionary leader and in the absence of creating an enabling environment, opportunity for all, yes, this issue will continue to come up that Nigeria is not one, unless we agree, like I have said, that we'll produce a leader who have a mindset of a great vision for one Nigeria, a job for all. Not because I belong to this tribe, they will give me a job. I don't belong to you, I will not be given job. So yes, this is what is haunting every Nigeria. And we are all aware of this agitation, which are genuine because there's a failure of leadership. Politicians have failed this country. And we are also responsible because we propagate on the basis of our ethnic or religious background. That is on the basis of people who are feeling that Nigeria is not one. For me, we are doing much, much better giving pre-independence to where we are today, and will continue to do better. These generations of Nigerians have traveled more than any other uh, Nigerians, have acquired knowledge, have seen development, have seen what modernization is all about. So it beholds on them to understand that we can do that collectively and create a sense of balance and a good country for everybody. Now, on the issue of the Fulani crisis, like I have mentioned, at the independent, based on statistics generated, the population of Nigeria is about 35 or 25 million. You know, you have different kinds of statistics. At that particular time, there were no developments. Our lands are just virgin. People goes everywhere to rear their cattle and so on and so forth. You know, not just necessarily Fulanis, there are other people who rear cattle as well. But of course, development came in rapidly across the whole state of the Federation. The land space was shrinking, and there was no clear policy to regulate some of this. It is a failure of policy of the successive government, not just this government. All other governments have failed to develop policy and programs that will give everybody who is doing business a sense of belonging and a sense of participation. That is what created this issue. And of course, lack of deterrence. If person commit an offense or a particular person from a tribe commit an offense, if you do not create a deterrence by subjecting him to the laws of the land and making sure that the law take its course, anarchy will come in. What we are witnessing today is anarchy. And this anarchy, if we do not check it, I'm sorry for all of us. I'm sorry for this country. So yes, the Fulanis today are on top of discussions because of few extreme Fulanis who feel disgruntled by what happened, and they take laws into their hands. And because the government refused to be firm and decisive in handling these issues, And because also we have a very porous borders that we never care to take care of, to put surveillance and ensure that those who are coming in are not going to subject this country into a lot of difficulties, naturally we have to go through this. Most of those videos that you have seen, and I wish maybe you are a Fulani man, you will understand that these are not indigenous Fulanis of Nigeria. These are people who are rebels in other countries, but because of our porous borders and what have you, move into the country. Even the Fulani they speak, you find out that it's not a pure indigenous Fulani. You will listen to some French. They are speaking French in the mix of what they are saying. So it involves a lot of things. It involves leadership that have the capacity to checkmate this and create a deterrence and a balance in some of these things. So yes, you can easily say it that because it has been going not fully controlled, government will definitely be accused. Government cannot exonerate themselves from this because in the situation where people are perpetually being killed, destructions are taking place, it's natural for people to cry out. It's natural for people to start thinking of defending themselves. As we are today, the level that we are today as a nation, people are defending themselves because it appears clearly that the government is almost incompetent to defend everybody. So for whatever reason that led to where we are today, again, government has a responsibility. Government has a lot of blame to take, but also we as Nigerians, we must also take some responsibility because we took the advantage to create a lot of division within ourselves. Like I said, no tribe is perfect, and no ethnic group can claim to be a perfect. Fulani, this is their time that they are going through these challenges, and the government must act promptly to control it. It shouldn't go beyond control. It should be controlled because there are very few of them. And then the third one you mentioned about transporting cattle and so on and so forth. Now is a structural problem. We have had a very good, for instance, railway system of transportation like what we used to have before. We transport our goods through the rail system. The rail system is dead. I think the last time the uh, PDP was trying to rehabilitate railways, and this government continues with that program. So long as we have not provided all other alternative of transporting our goods and services, we'll continue to go through what we are going through because there's no any other way. Otherwise, anarchy will continue to go on because everybody would love to transport his own system of business from one end to the other. And if there are no facility for him to do that, they will have to find other ways to do that. During trade by barter, people use different system of transportation. Some use horses, some use all sort of things to transport their own goods from one place to the other. So again, it's a structural problem. It's a failure of government to come up with policies and programs that can develop a transportation system that can give satisfaction to everybody. And then you bring out a very strong laws that will say, look, do not, henceforth, don't transport cattle by road. Transport them by rail because there's a rail system that are provide comfort and security for every business person. You cannot deny a person doing his business simply because government have failed to do their job. So basically, that's what it is. If government have woke up to their responsibility, we all pay our taxes, we are committed to our country, all these things are possibilities. America is not a miracle. America was a man-made. Europe was a man-made. Asia was a man-made. It wasn't as if everything fell from heaven. So the Lincoln, the Singapore visionary, look at Dubai. If you minus 30 years or 40 out of Dubai, it's not better than Lagos and Kano. But today, Dubai is the capital of the world. Dubai have the highest number of tourism people that visit. They have oil, but they went into tourism. Egypt doesn't have oil. They are into tourism. Go and see New Cairo. You will weep. Are they better than us? But because we have allowed our division, our tribal and ethnic and regional issues and religious leaders to keep on dividing this country, and we always bank on it. And this will continue to set us backwards unless we accept that we have defaulted somewhere, and we are all culprits, because there is no single minister that have ever resigned simply because road has not been taken to his community, water has not been taken to his community, or electricity has not been taken to his community, or things like that. It's a conspiracy of elites of different ethnic backgrounds that were privileged to be in government and conspires against the majority of the citizens, for their own benefits. No single person from any tribe that resigned because policies of government is bad. So I think let us take collective responsibility and accept that we have all failed, not just a particular tribe, all of us collectively, because no tribe that have not served in different capacity in this government. So it's a collective responsibility. I think that is my response to some of these issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for those very clear answers. I'm going to ask you a few more questions, but I'm going to be throwing the floor open very soon to some of the people participating so that they can ask a few questions. Number one, I like your comment on restructuring. I think that's a very bold comment. I'll be honest with you, not very many Northerners have been able to be bold enough to make that kind of sweeping comment that you made, and that each state should be allowed to control its own resource. That's more or less what I think you said. Correct me if I'm wrong. And develop its own economic blueprint. I think one of the challenges of this restructuring issue is this question of oil. I think the government of the day and previous governments, I hope you didn't lose me, and people who get into government, they're a little bit afraid to allow the oil to be restructured back to the Niger Delta or the parts from which it came, because they're so used to taking the oil from there and sharing the revenue at the center, a lot of it going into their own pockets one way or another through procurement and contracting. That the fear is that no government will ever be bold enough to allow the restructuring to be such that the oil goes back to the responsibility primarily of the states from which it was founded. I think this is one of the biggest challenges. I'd like to know your comments on that. And then the second question is also about politicians. You said that we need a career politician in Nigeria who knows the nook and crannies of Nigeria. Somebody asked a question, I can't remember the person's name on the platform, that who is a career politician? The thinking even is that no politician should be a career politician. That part of the reasons why we have political trouble is because politicians have no second source of income, no second address. So for them, it's almost die and die or do or die. A lot of people who have been bold enough to go into politics in different places have been able to leave politics and go back to a different lifestyle without feeling bad about it. And you also said that the politicians have failed. So I want you to clarify this issue. Who is a career politician? Should we be depending on a career politician? Are we not looking for a balance of people who have competence in resource management? Because some career politicians, they've never really managed resource. They've just won elections. There's a difference between winning an election and managing an institution, managing people, managing environment, showing your skills in the development of people and institutions and resources and places like that. And if you haven't learned by experience over time, you would find that it's difficult for you. Joseph in the Bible was a successful administrator in Egypt because he administered Potiphar's house, he administered the prison, and then used the same skills in government. So I just want you to speak a little bit to these two issues, restructuring and the fear of governments letting their hands off oil and the oil going back almost a large percentage, if not 100%, to the Niger Delta or the various states. And that one of the problems of this government is that they're trying so hard to find
No,
oil
no,
in. Mute your mics, please. Henry one, and so on and so forth. So we do have Henry. Henry one, please mute your mic.
No.
Thank you. So these are the issues, and then the issue of who is a career politician. Thank you.
Okay, let me start by issue of restructuring. Fundamentally, what affected the fear and the worry was simply because we have politicized what restructuring is all about. Politicians begin to send fears and worries unnecessarily into the minds of people. But any sound-minded Nigerians, given the population of Nigeria, given the way Nigeria is expanding, and given the fact that this country is endowed, I've traveled to so many countries on earth. Nigeria is one of the blessed countries on earth. There's no state that you can go that you cannot find different kinds of natural mineral resources endowed, given by God in our own collective country. And of course, because people are used to free money, free things on those days, and without understanding that a time will come that the country will pay for it because we refuse to plan. Our children will pay for it because we refuse to plan. And of course, that will be the period of emotions and sentiments in driving all issues. Every good policy will be politicized along ethnic and religious lines, and that sends fears into the minds of the people. Anybody who is afraid of restructuring is simply because he doesn't understand even the advantage of the structuring. You see, the structuring will take away incompetency, and incompetent governors will not seek for to be a governor in their own state. Because once you restructure, you amend the Land Use Act, it simply means that anybody who is vying to be a governor in the states must have the necessary contact to bring investors into his states, to invest in his state, to generate resources, to take care of the infrastructure of the state, to create jobs, create security, and so on and so forth. That's simply what it is. So very loose people who believe in free money, who goes into government houses because of security vote, just to buy houses in flashy cities around the world, will no longer find their ways into government house. Restructuring creates competition, it creates hard working, it creates a lot of capacity for anybody who wants to create history, who wants to leave a legacy behind. So for a lot of us who understand these dynamics, we cannot be at disadvantage because there's a restructuring. For instance, Northern Nigeria will not be a disadvantage because they have been restructured. Because every state in the north can be able to maintain itself once they have a serious governor who is seriously minded, who understands what the world is looking for. Look, the whole world is looking for where they will shift their capital. Investors are trying to look at where they can shift their capital. And the next destination for investment is Nigeria. So every state that have a lot of mineral resources for development, you can be able to bring investors and you can take care of the need of the states and the people of the state. So it takes a coward to believe that restructuring will take away any his of privilege or he will not have food on his table. Is a mindset of lazy people. So, and that is the thinking of a lot of people who are used to free things. Like I've said, pre-independence, virtually in all the state of the federation, people were sent to school free, they were fed free, accommodation free, vehicles free. And that has been what is biting us up to today. You see a graduate who doesn't want to work, he's looking for somebody to give him a juicy job so that he will be earning money free. So these are issues that our generation is facing. It's very square and very deadly situation that we are facing as a people. Now you talk about oil. Once again, the discovery of oil crippled our economic capacity. In the north before, agricultural diversification was very strong. With the discovery of oil, people became lousy because there's this free money everywhere. At that particular time, Nigeria is not complaining about money, but how to spend the money. You are quite conversant with that. It's a record, it's in our national archives. That creates laziness in the minds of the people. Instead of us to use the oil money to diversify, to develop this country, to create industries everywhere for the benefit of Nigerians, we begin to allocate it to individuals. Those individuals personalize some of the oil wells to their own benefit and their friends and their cronies and so on and so forth. So if you look across the board, everybody is a culprit in this country because virtually all have, those who were allocated the oil well have a semblance of collections of Nigerians that are beneficiaries in that oil well allocation. So it's not a one-way blame, but like I said, what it did is set Nigeria backward. It makes us more lazy. We don't want to work hard. If today you have NYC that are graduating, everybody is looking for NNPC, illa revenue, juicy locations. They don't want to gain experience anywhere. They don't want to invest anywhere. They don't want to develop their talents. They just want to be eaten free. And that is not possible. No society develops like that. Even America that have developed over, it takes them over 200-300 years to get to where they are today. They have invested their energy, their time to develop their society. So I believe, let us look at it that yes, we made mistakes in the past, but it's no longer a very viable business. Oil is fizzling out because the modern cars are not using oil. They are using energy, they are using solar, and so on and so forth. So it is in our own strategic interest to begin to diversify and perhaps even reserve our oil for a better future or for better development of this country than for us to continue to rely on oil, to which today the oil revenue has gone very down, which have affected the economy, plus COVID-19 that have affected the economy of the world. So Nigeria is going through very difficult times. Then to the issue of who is a career politician, it's very simple. For instance, look at Awolowo. Look at his interface with his people. Accessibility his people have directly to him. Look at Zik. Look at Sardauna. Look at class order. Okay, below them, for instance, look at the first civilian governors. These are career people that have the history up to today make reference to them. Look at Sam Mbakwe of Imo State, for instance. There are so many of them. Look at the late governor of Kano State, late Alhaji Rimi. Up to today, you cannot beat his record because they were trained to listen to the people, to know the feelings of the people, the pains of the people. They are developed along these lines and they build their career along these lines. They did not leave their other professional job to join politics because they want to build house. When Rimi left governor of Kano State, he doesn't have 50,000 naira in his account. Go and check the record of Samuel Mbakwe. Go and check what Jim Obodo them have done. Go and check Akintol and what they have done. So these are people who believe in people. They don't believe in enriching themselves. Now, career politician simply means somebody who has been trained in the system, have understand what it takes to reach out to go to the community at all times, listen to the concerns of the community, what you can do for them, and the basic reason why you are aspiring to be in a position to help them is simply because you understand what they are going through. You understand what you need to do. You understand how to protect their interests. Why do we have constituency project in the National Assembly? The constituency project wasn't meant for just particular, it's for all constituencies. But simply because there's an abuse along those lines, people who got there left some of their juicy jobs, went into politics simply because when they're at the National Assembly, they will be in good committees, money will come, and they don't even get back to their homes. They don't connect back to the communities. So that is what defines, or that's the distinction between a career politician who believe in the service of humanity than a politician who believe that, okay, it's an opportunity for him. He have looted money somewhere. He reinvested that money into voters to give them money to vote for him. And he have to recoup the money he invested
into the people, not to develop the states, not to expand the states, not to create jobs. These are very distinct difference between career people who believe in service to humanity and then people who join politics now calling themselves politicians, and all they do is because they are going to go into either committees that are lucrative, either governors have security votes, and they will take care of their friends, cronies, and forget about the larger population that are dying in poverty, that are suffocating, and so on and so on. It's a very distinct all over the world. It's there, between people who just left their previous job and joined politics either for the juice of it. But if you look at the democratic system in America, you virtually see that because the system supported that, they are completely pro taking care of people of their constituency. They look into issues that affect their constituency because they know anything short of servicing their constituency, they are likely not to be voted back into the National Assembly or into any elective position. So that is a very distinct difference. There are career politicians. There are people who jump into politics because they want to make more money. Look, it is a record. Some of the people who have been in the Senate, who have been in the National Assembly, who have been governors, are criminals. Their record read, some of them were armed robbers. So these are issues that we are talking about. It's in our records, in our national archive. Why are we denying it? Why are we not exposing it? That is the honest truth about it.
Okay, my dear brother. This leads me to one or two questions, and then really I'll give other people an opportunity to ask their own questions. I see a few hands being raised up. I will come back to you, or I hope we have enough time on the platform. Now, you've spoken about some of these career politicians or politicians being armed robbers, being criminals and all that and all that. I agree very much. But the challenge is that a lot of the electorate and the people who vote are either illiterate, uninformed, or underinformed, or so poor that a little bit of money from these criminals will guarantee them votes. And in some parts of Nigeria, especially even perhaps in the north, there has been accusations that leaders there have kept their people deliberately in poverty so that they can manipulate them and use them when it is election time. That's question number one. Number two, there's this talk of marginalization from all over almost every part of Nigeria. The Northerners, I think, feel a bit marginalized. They think that they have not developed as fast as the South, and therefore the whole of Nigeria should wait for them to develop, or they should develop, or they should keep Nigeria standing. And unless they are really in control of power, especially at the center, nothing should happen in Nigeria. There's a lot of sentiment and discussion along those lines. The Igbos, on the other hand, feel that they're not even really welcome in Nigeria, and any aspiration of presidency of any Igbo man is almost sacrilegious. So they feel highly marginalized. They themselves, even all of a sudden, like the insect or the fly in the bottle, they don't even really aspire to presidency anymore as such. If they get vice president or this and that, they seem almost content. And even some of them have been agitating recently. I had a gentleman on this platform, my good friend, okay, who says, though we said no victor, no vanquished, even till today, after the Civil War, the Igbos have not been fully compensated, reintegrated into the mainstream of Nigeria, and so on and so forth. Then you have the minorities who feel that they can't even rise in Nigeria. Nobody considers them, and there's that agitation. What would you do, or what do you think we should do to really resolve these problems? And then the third question is speaking specifically to you and to SDP as a political party and political platform. The PDP, a little bit, the APC are beginning to feel that Nigeria belongs to them. And unless you're a member of APC or whatever, you shouldn't even think of aspiring to leadership. The PDP think that they are front runners, that if they can get their house in order, they're all over Nigeria, they will take the thing. And we don't really seem to hear much of the SDP. And a lot of people are beginning to think that it is impossible to have a third or fourth political force in Nigeria because of the amount of money and energy it will take. So if you want to do politics in Nigeria, either crawl into APC or beg into PDP. And both these two parties are feeling so big, so comfortable, so almost arrogant to a large extent. And this really bothers me because even if you go into any of these parties, to aspire to leadership, the dice is weighed against you. If you don't have a political godfather, if you don't beg, if you don't grovel, if you don't bribe, if you don't spend a lot of money at their primaries, which they feel it's their right to leadership in Nigeria, you're almost wasting your time. And I think this is one of the things that's disturbing Nigeria, so much so that quite a lot of people now are agitating for independent candidacy. We don't want to go through all these false primaries and loaded primaries dictated to by Godfather from somewhere or the other. We want there to be a level playing field. And even in your own opinion, how do we ensure that we get good quality leadership in Nigeria with the present environment that we're in? A lot of Nigerians don't know right from wrong, good from bad. How do we do what Lee Kuan Yew said, having leaders that are of good quality? Please, if you can address those questions very, very quickly, very, very briefly, I'll be very happy. I want you to hit to the root of the matter. I don't want you to be palliative at all.
Well, let me say that the questions demand a little bit of explanation because you generated the questions. And if I just brush them, maybe some people might not understand. But let me talk on the issue of illiteracy in the north you are talking about. Again, that is a relative terms. If you look at the history of Nigeria, pre-independence and independence, the missionaries that came in, were not much acceptable in the north. The northern Nigeria have their own system of education, how they write, how they communicate, non-Arabic language and other things. So, and it's simply because if you don't speak English, do not make you an illiterate person. English language is not the majority language in the world. Countries that have developed, they are not English-speaking countries. So I think it depends on how anybody look at it, who is an illiterate, who is not an illiterate. And some of the people that you see they are gifted in different fields, they have not gone to school, and they have their talent, and those talents were developed to an extent of the society benefits from it. Yes, in terms of Western education, the other part of the country are higher in terms of number than the northern Nigeria. But the northern Nigeria is catching up as it is right now. People have woken up, people have understand, okay, look, apart from having other system of education, you also need to have what is officially language, communication language in Nigeria, which is English. People are coming terms to that, and they are working on that. But in terms of saying illiteracy, they don't know what they are saying. I think it is absolutely not right. It's not, people are misconstruing it, because up till now, people communicate in their own skills, both in letters, in writing, and delivering lectures in their own field of study they have studied in the past. Again, like I've said, I've traveled widely. I've been to every state of Nigeria. The illiteracy level in Nigeria is very high, not just northern Nigeria, because people cannot afford the education. Our government institutions have no facility. If I'm not making a mistake, there is no single university in Nigeria that is internationally accredited, as I'm talking to you now. I don't know, maybe in the last few months, no single university is internationally accredited. And you see how our university system has been going on strike for a number of months or years. I don't know how you can educate somebody and he'll be properly educated along those lines. So we have to look at the educational policy. As far as I'm concerned, the educational policy in Nigeria is very harsh. It's against the citizens of Nigeria. You go through a lot of process of writing exams, you pay money, and if you got a very good WAEC, any university in the world can give you admission. But in Nigeria, they will say you must go and have a job. Even if you have a job, if you are going into a specialized courses like medicine, like other science courses, you have to bribe before you get admission, despite you have a very good job. So these are educational policies that generally that is very deficient, that is not in tandem with the reality of our country, that need to be reviewed as urgently as possible. In fact, JAM, NECO, and others are using it as a way of generating revenue, not raising the standard of education in Nigeria. So we need to review our educational policy. It's very deficit, in fact. Now, talking about poverty in the north and the illiteracy, you see, generally, like I have mentioned, anywhere you go, any polling unit in any part of Nigeria, poverty have been weaponized. Anywhere. Elections have taken place, I've been to vote everywhere. You see how people are buying votes. You see every ethnic tribe in this country collecting money to cast their votes, not on the basis of their principle or conviction, or that the person they are voting is the right choice, but simply because they needed that money. They are suffering from poverty. They have to collect the money. And that is the danger that we have created that is threatening our democracy today. Our democracy is in danger because of this vote buy. So because of the poverty level that have ravaged the country, people are selling their votes. People are selling their fingers. They are selling their what they would print to vote. So it's a general thing in the country. You know, recently elections were held both in Bayelsa, both in Kogi of recent, and what have you. You have seen all the kind of nonsense that have taken place there. Brandishing guns, dishing out money, buying vote. And so it's not just peculiar to a particular, it is now a pandemic. It has affected everywhere. If the way you are now, you want to go back to your state and seek for an elective office, you know it clearly that if you don't have money, if you don't buy the vote, you are likely not to be voted. Despite your talent, despite your sacrifice to the country, they will tell you there is not English they are going to eat. This is a major issue that we need to work on as a people. It's a fundamental issue that is bringing the system down. And now you talk about the marginal underdevelopment of the north and so on and so forth. Again, let me be very clear about this. If you go to any northern states, you will appreciate the fact that there are a lot of appreciable level of development. If you go and see the level of some of the infrastructures, some of the modern schools, some of the modern hospitals, you will appreciate that changes are taking place. It's not like before. So, and it depends on the kind of leader you have. It depends on the kind of governor you have. If you have a governor who believes in bringing development, infrastructure, health, education in the states, no matter the little resources he is getting, he will certainly do a lot to impact on the state. He will bring critical structural development into the state. But if you bring in a governor who is interested in taking the money away, no matter the billions he's getting at the end of the month, you will not see any physical development in that state. So it's a relative terms. You know, it depends on what exactly and who is exactly is in charge and what is the vision of the man who is in charge in those states. But there are a lot of transformation going on, unlike maybe 20 years, 15 years ago. In my state, in Bauchi State, you know, even if you give people money, if they don't like you, they'll vote you out. I was one of those who led a revolution in Bauchi State, and there was no money that worked. People voted on the basis of what we told them to do. And Bauchi State is one of the states that is a reference point in Nigeria today in terms of putting out tyrants into office. No matter how powerful you are, if you have not worked in Bauchi, we'll take you out of office. So I think every state, you'll find people who are willing to go into work, to talk to people, to sensitize people. Again, that is where the failure of the government has come in, refusing to invest in sensitizing people to vote for credible people that have credible qualities. So again, you cannot hold a particular regional responsible, but individual. They were privileged at a particular time to preside over the affairs of the people in the state. There are states, if you go now, you will be shocked. But a lot, because people don't travel, they don't go to state. They look at some of the garbage in, garbage out in the media, and they assume that people still are living on top of the trees or under the trees. Yes, we still have those deficiencies in some of the schools and all over the country. Children are studying under the tree and so on. It's all over. The data is there. If you go and search, it's there in every state. You will find some of these that are ongoing. My hope and prayer, my hope and prayer is that we will bring a reform by our own level of development, our level of exposure as individuals. Will work as a team and ensure that in every state where a governor is not functioning properly, the people of the state will hold him responsible, and we will make sure that a deterrence was created for anybody who is coming in next time. And then on the issue of Igbo's aspiration and so on and so forth, if you go back to history, like when I was young, I grew up with Igbo's friends, Yorubas, and others. As I was young, we are friends. They come to my house, we eat. I go to their house, we eat. I don't know this division. I didn't know this dichotomy, you know. So we walk up to today as friends, as one. Some of my best friends are Igbos. We share our concern together. We talk together. But I can tell you, those that are responsible, that have created this gap, are politicians. We must accept where we went wrong. We went wrong somewhere. We incited our people. We told our people stories that are not true, why we benefited from the system. So even during the Civil War, there was no single properties of Igbos that were hijacked by Northerners. Is there also a record? So because we believe then the relationship between the Easterners and Northerners is to a bond. That's how close our relationship were. But the thing became worse when politics came in. Politicians begin to lobby for positions and begin to say that, okay, look, I wasn't given because I belong to the minority. I'm talking about, but one was a minority. They were all elected into office. So the moment we do away with the issue of these minority things, because Hausa, Igbo, Yorubas are the majority of tribes and everything must go to them, the more we go into trouble. Some of the best brands we have are not part of the 3 major or 4 major tribes in Nigeria. Some of the best brands we have. So, but they are excelling all over the world. So I think we should take away this complex of somebody have denied me my destiny, somebody did not allow me to grow. And then those that have responsibility, that are collecting your resources in your state, you are not holding them accountable. And because our security system is very weak, the institutions are not strong enough to prosecute people who preside over the affairs of the state, take away the resources of the state to their own advantage. Both houses in Europe, in America, in Asia, in South Africa, they are not being prosecuted. You have not created deterrence, and this type of things will continue unless we have allowed the system to work in any state of the federation. And we have allowed our sanity to come back into us, that we are all same. We used to eat on the same plate. And we should develop that mentality that we have to go back, especially now that we are quite exposed. We understand and we appreciate the sweetness of having a superstructures, a very good educational system, health system that is beneficial to everybody. So long as we go back to negativity and all we think is negative, this one have wronged me, I will not forgive you. This one have not, I will not forgive you. Then I'm sorry for all of us, because those who created that thing are passing out. And we, the younger generations, we have inherited this mess, and we are not thinking how to get out of it. Every day we are creating more gaps between ourselves. We are creating more divisions between ourselves, and the nation is paying for it. We are paying for it. You are paying for it. What we are doing is a national service. You have created a platform for all of us to discuss, to ventilate, and it's part of the collectivism. You are not a Fulani man, I'm a Fulani, but you have given me a platform to talk. Those who imputed on me, like I've said, have cut across Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, they impacted on me, and I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of them, and they are my friends. So for me, I think the best way out of all this is for us to learn how to forgive and forget and build a viral society that all of us can benefit from. The moment we begin to regionalize issues, if I remember June 12th, how people were migrating from Lagos to their various locations, people were dying. Horrible moment.
Please mute your mic.
Went back to our different locations. You know, so I think it is better that we appreciate we made mistakes and we have the mental capacity, we have the ability, we have the large heart to rework what is wrong and regenerate a structure again that can be good for everybody. Now, maybe finally on the SDP that you asked me to comment on, and now using the SDP to talk to you. We left PDP because of impunity and recklessness. I was one of the founders of the PDP. I was among the young founders of PDP at G7, G8, G34 when Alex Okweme was brought in to make it a national platform. I was among those who called those G7 members who had the first meeting in Kaduna. So, like I said, there is no political actors that I don't know, I have not interfaced with. And we created a platform that have brought a sense of belonging for everybody. And the fact that interests usually shift from one end to the other tends to negate as if we have not achieved anything. We have achieved a lot, but we are now trying to take it away by bringing a lot of divisions. Democracy is the only institution you can express and you can change whoever you want to change. Whatever means we can do to refine it, to refine our electoral process, our electoral act, that will enhance the credibility of voters, will enhance the credibility of polling unit. I think this is what is key to me. This is what is important to me. When we came into the SDP because we are tired of recklessness in the PDP, we generated a momentum that have challenged the PDP and the APC. We had the best convention. We had 5 presidential aspirants at that particular time, But again, politics came in. We were thrown into litigations up to the Supreme Court, even though eventually we won. But because of litigation, we couldn't flag off the presidential campaign. And of course, you see, under democracy, people are being shortchanged. Again, in this same democracy that we live, we had people that were elected under the platform of SDP. Later on, they were bought over by PDP and APC to their own parties because we don't have money to sustain them. We don't have money to sustain the structures and so on and so forth. It's not easy to run a political platform. It's very expensive. And if you don't have any resources to do that, then you are in big trouble. You cannot solve the problem at all. It's a money spinner. People take it as a money spinner. So I think that is my own submission as far as SDP. We are doing the very best. We have the best constitution. We have the best manifesto. And I believe when you have opportunity, you will go through, you will understand we have invested a lot of intellectual capacity. We factor in issue of restructuring Nigeria in our own documents and in our own campaigns. And even we have resources like PDP and APC, the story wouldn't have been the same.
Thank you very much. We'll take a few questions now. Modupe Mujota has a question, and thereafter, Miriam Nasir. Please make your questions very short, brief, straight to the answer, so that our guests can respond. Modupe, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you very much, Pastor Itwa. I'm a politician, so a lot of the comments speak to my heart. My question, and I had a number of comments, but for time, my question, what is our collaborative goal as Nigerians? What is the aspiration we have for our nation? What are the values and principles that will govern this entity that we call Nigeria? Because without a value system, I think the erosion of our value system is part of what has seen us where we are. To add to that is just the role of the civil service, which I haven't heard much about. The civil service is the one that they say a soldier comes, soldier goes, the barrack remains the same. But the civil service is too fundamental for it to be ignored. And this is where a number of the derailment happens, because the politicians will come and go, but the real architects of the system that should drive development should be the civil service that should have their own programs for years and years to come. People think better and can question, quite honestly, when they are fed or have equal opportunities, which was what was in the Lee Kuan Yew thing, that the government should provide the opportunities but not dictate the results. Equal opportunity and equity is critical, and government should be in the business of value creation, not so much dishing out monies to people. I also didn't hear too much about the role that the governors have to play. We centered on the president, the president, the president. Well, the center is just a coordinator, as far as I'm concerned. The actual leaders are at government level, and the power that a governor wields is significant. If we don't get that level of leadership right as well, we will struggle at the center. We need to be done with sentimental attachments and sentimental concerns, and like the speaker said, be pragmatic with our solution. So I think just to leave it, park it somewhere, I'd say the pragmatic solution to start with is to get involved. A number of people need to be able to straddle both private lives and public sector involvement so that we can drive the change that we're able to so eloquently make happen in our private businesses. We need to be able to escalate that to government. But if we don't define who we are as a people, what the aspirational goal for our nation is, just like Lee Kuan Yew described, and create a set of values and time-tested principles that will take us there, and get buy-in at leadership level, we will struggle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mudukwe. I don't know, those were more comments, a few questions. Shehu, would you have a response to that?
Yes, certainly. One, let me thank Modukwe for her very brilliant questions. But let me say this. If you talk about collaborative goal or objective, what is our collective objective as a nation? I think it's fine. Even in our national anthem, it is defined. But then it's different from practicalizing it. You know, those that are responsible for not putting it into practice, I think we should hold them responsible and hold ourselves responsible that we still see that we refuse to develop that capacity of coming together and achieve a collective result for the good of our society. It pains me so much to go through the statistics. If Modukwe will do a lot of research, she will find out that a lot of people, a lot of ladies of her age have not even voter's card because they don't believe that they need to go and vote. These are issues that have affected the democratic process. People lost confidence in the system, and they felt that for them to go and queue and vote is a waste of time, and they don't need to go and vote at all. So if you don't vote, you don't have the right to complain. If you have the right to complain, if you want to have the right to complain, then you must struggle to convince other friends and colleagues to make sure the right person is voted into office. Part of the calamity of our electoral process, we have never defined a very credible leader that we are going to vote for into office that will change the narrative that we are talking about today. Our value system have gone down because of so many reasons, because of poverty, lack of employment. You see families, the same father and mother killing themselves. You see children killing their parents because of poverty. It's a very horrific situation that we are going through as a nation. So our value system have gone down largely because poverty has been weaponized. People have nothing doing. Our youth have gone into drugs. Our women have gone into drugs. So it's a major issue. It's a very, very serious issue that is biting everybody extremely, extremely very hard. It's unbelievable when you look at some of the statistics. Now, she talked about the civil service. If you've been following me, my sister, I've been consistent. The biggest cancer of corruption Nigeria is recording is in the civil service. It's the biggest center of corruption in Nigeria. The moment you fix corruption in the civil service, you bring in people that believe in the service to humanity, building a superstructure for the country, uplifting the standard of Nigeria, you know, giving every Nigeria a sense of belonging. I think Nigeria will be a different country completely. The biggest challenge we have is a reform in the civil service. That is the center of corruption. Civil servants are the one corrupting the politicians. If a politician is appointed into office, they are the one how to tell him, this is how to run this country, this is the variation, these are the profit, and they will be the first person to bring bags of money to him to take care of your visitors and so on and so forth. Civil servants are responsible for corrupting politicians. There is no way you can isolate them when you want to reform this country. It's practically impossible. Most of the properties in Nigeria are owned by civil servants. Most of the abandoned properties or finished properties, they left it like that because, look, corruption is in stages. You have cash corruption, you have property corruption, and you have interest corruption. So Nigeria is graduating from cash corruption to property corruption. And because the system is hunting cash corruption, people are investing their corrupt money into properties. And they will leave those properties just abandoned. You know, after they left service, they will go and find a way either to resell it or something like that. Civil service is a very big challenge to our nation. And then you talk about, I didn't mention much of governance. In my presentation, I talk much of governance than the president, because in a democracy, governors are responsible in running the affairs of their states. The money goes into the governor's account, or the government of the state account, to which the governor is the accounting officer. If the governor is not connected to his people, from villages to communicate to the local government to the states, there must be a problem. Some of these insecurities ought to have been taken care of if the governors are effective, because even without the state police, the governor would have developed a method of generating information about security breaches in the communities and charge the local government chairman to deal with those security breaches before it comes to even the local government and to the state and before the federal. So governors are responsible in a very large extent for some of the mess we are going through. The governors are responsible for some of the insecurities we are going through. If the governors can be reckless, can be issuing tweets all over the place, just the way Trump was trying to mess up the system, you know, we have to pay for it. It's about quality leadership. It's about people believing that I'm a governor because it was assumed that I'm above board, I'm a better person, I'm more endured, I will do better in transforming the state. But rather, we brought in people that are completely empty, who believe in just taking money out of the state. They don't get a malaria of 2000 kills a lot of people in the state who cannot afford it. You can't get malaria free in government hospitals. So how do you hold president responsible for that? How do you hold president responsible for governors not giving local government their own money? Despite the executive order, the governors are not releasing local government funds. So how do you hold president responsible for that? And intelligence comes from state to the federal. So you have commissioners of police, director SSS, who's supposed to generate intelligence from the community base to local government to state and then to federal. And then the governor always is being briefed, because there's a state security council meeting, which involves commissioners of police, director, SSS, brigade commanders, all of them together discussing security issues of the states. So it's a lot of issues that people are not, because citizens are not conscious of their responsibility, how to act, how to interrogate. We are suffering from this, but I can tell you, Moduke, that the governors have a large, almost 70% responsible for some of the mess we are going through, because they are grossly incompetent. They are after just what they can get out of the states. I'm not hearing.
Pastor, unmute yourself.
Somebody had muted me, I didn't realize. I'm sorry, I apologize. I think I agree with you 100%, Alhaji, that the rot actually is embedded in the civil service. And the civil service has totally been brutalized. And I think part of it was the purge that happened, I think, in 1976, that really eradicated the top level of career civil servants and things. So there must be a critical civil service reform. I agree with you that it's the civil servants that initially corrupt the politicians before the politicians themselves become a master at the game.
No, they are still the one corrupting politicians up to tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. You get into government today, they are the ones who will tell you how to cheat the system and give you all sorts of allowances and blah, blah, blah. And if you don't allow them to be corrupt, they frustrate you.
They frustrate you.
Yeah, they make you frustrate you. So it's a challenge. So if there are any civil servants listening on the platform, we are challenging you, we're speaking to you, we're asking you to talk to your colleagues and talk to yourselves. The whole world is not about money and access and acquisition. It's about benefiting others. Mariam Nasir, I think, has a question. Mariam, can you unmute yourself and ask your question quickly? Is Mariam there? Okay. Vince Bakari. Vince, I think Vince wanted to ask a question. Vince, is Vince there? Nimi, thank you for your comment that you just flashed on the screen. All right. Victor Adam. Victor, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the guest speaker also. I listened to how you're speaking, and I just wanted to ask you, speaking on the transportation of cows and animals with the whole Fulani herdsman crisis, do you not think that the challenge we are facing is policy on the side of government and then education on the side of the people running it? Because the truth is, this is a private business. And if I am doing a business where I sell clothing, I am responsible for getting my store. I am responsible for lighting in my store. I am responsible for customer satisfaction. I cannot expect the government to, what I expect the government is to provide electricity, and then I pay for electricity so that I can run my business. So when it comes to the issue of these kind of things, I think we should do away with sentiment and be objective. Do you not think that having strong policy to monitor and guide how these things operate, and having people educated to invest in their business, because a cow goes for what, 300,000 naira, so they're definitely making money one way or the other. They're able to fund this. And then secondly, I think the summary of the challenges we are facing in Nigeria is the fact that our system is inefficient. So for example, things like having, and people are benefiting from these inefficiencies. And I wanted to get your thoughts on these. What do you think about this? Because I think that many of the inefficiencies of our system are giving people opportunities to rig the system. So, for example, generators, people will not want electricity to rise because they're selling generators, or security men. We have so many people doing the job of a security personnel because there's insecurity in the state. So the inefficiencies of the system, people are benefiting from it. So how do we tackle this to ensure that everybody can rise and nobody is oppressing any other person because the system is not working the way it's supposed to? Thank you.
Let me thank you, Victor, for your question. Number one, I'm sure if you have listened to me carefully, I criticize the government policies. If the policies were strong, nobody would have violated it. If there was a deterrence, nobody would have violated it. But because there was no strong policy, there was no deterrence, everybody breaks the law and get away with it. That is a very fundamental thing. It's the fail of policy. The policy is very weak. In fact, if there is, and there is no enforcement of the policy to ensure that you do not breach other people's freedom, because every freedom is a limited freedom. So you cannot use a definition of freedom to breach other people's freedom and think that it is acceptable by everybody. The issue of the Fulanis are very peculiar thing. Like I've said, of recent, they were on top of the chart for discussion. They were not in the past. And the Fulanis have never requested federal government for for road, for electricity, for water, and things like that. And Fulani man pay tax. Every single cow that is being sold, they deduct tax out of it. Every single cow that is being sold, they pay tax out of it. But then what they know their business, just like other people that does their business, the Igbo people, commercial things and what have you, is the enabling environment for them to do their business. If the environment is not conducive, you can't go and invest anywhere. If the environment is hostile, you can't go there and invest. Fulani people, business that they are born with, just like Jews, like Arabs, like Indians, is cattle breeding. So if there is no clear policy or demarcations and it's being enforced, these are the areas that is being earmarked for you to do your grazing. This area is restricted and it's being enforced. There's no way you cannot keep on having this kind of clashes. But simply because the laws are weak, there is no enforcement, there are a lot of sentiments attached to it, you continue to have this crisis that are now on top of the chart of discussions that is turning into violence. Fulani man feel if you kill his cow, it's like you want to kill him. It's just like for you to meet a lady or a small girl who is hawking on the street. If you want to take away her banana or her granola that she is selling, she will fight to die to make sure she protect her own business. She's a hawker. She depends on that to earn a living. So critically speaking, there is no enforcement of these policies. If the grazing routes are still effective, there is no enforcement for the Fulanis to obey it, and if they do not obey it, sanctions will follow. But simply because there is no such is not being enforced, you will continue to have this crisis until policies are being developed, and these policies are strong. These policies are being enforced. If a Fulani man knows that he has been told don't go to this area and he crossed it, and he sold 3, 4, or 5 of his cows to pay for compensation, next time he will not go there, because the worst thing you expect to see from me is to lose his cow or to sell his cow to pay for offense. So if any society that have no enforcement, that have no deterrence, you are bound to have these problems. You are bound to have this problem, not just Fulani, any business, you are bound to have problems with it. So because if you don't respect the laws and people take laws into their hand, anarchy keys in. There is no business that you can do that will not look at the answers team. Innocent people who are trading, doing their businesses being burned all over the place. Look at how Lagos was shut down because anarchy was looming, because there was no deterrence. So all this falls around the policy and leadership decisiveness to make sure that nobody is above the law. And then, of course, you talk about the deficiency of the system, which I have mentioned severally. Our system is very, very deficient. People take advantage of the deficiency of the system to create havoc into the system. I've mentioned earlier on, during the privatization and commercialization during Babangida regime that opened the economy of Nigeria, that was the era of 419. The economy was opened, but foreign investors and others clearly knew that our security institutions are very weak. And so crime and criminality became on top of the chart. And we don't have strong institutions to checkmate such things. And therefore, 419 became a business for people who know how to network, how to dupe, because the foreigners brought 419 into Nigeria. And Nigerians took over the 419, became more expert in also duping the foreigners. So that also suggests that if the system was strong, was viable, was enforceable, all such things wouldn't have happened. So it's a system failure. Critically, it's a system failure. Unless we define our system, we make them operationally. Fundamentally, we must train our security agencies. We must equip our security agencies. We must kit them up. We must make them to believe that Nigeria is their country, irrespective of tribe or religion. They must protect Nigerian institutions. Our pillars must be protected by security agencies so that everybody will have a sense of belonging. You will not think because you are an Igbo and I will be shortchanged or I will be cut off or I will be arrested because no, let it be a system that deals with everybody that violate the law. The system is very, very inefficient. That I agree with you generally, and that I have mentioned sufficiently.
Thank you very much, Shehu. I'm very grateful for that. I want to thank all those who've been on the platform. David Akonde, I haven't seen you for years. It was good to see you today. God bless you and stay safe. Yomi Aoni, thank you so much. Didi Aswama, God bless you. God be with you. My dear Owele, I thank you very much for being on this platform. Yusuf Pam, Victor Hayes, Okpema Kinwa, Sheila Onobaifo, long time. Yvonne, God bless you. Mr. Osibo, John Kuti, and so on and so forth. We need to round up because of our time, but I need to take a question from a very, very special person, a former minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my auntie, Mrs. Adenike, or Professor Adenike Grange. You'd like to take a question or make a comment? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here at this meeting today and to listen to all the solutions preferred by Alhaji. Well, when we talk about Nigeria, we always talk in passive terms. in terms of, oh, this has to be done, that has to be done. I wonder, it will help us if we can say that somebody has to do this. I don't know why we are so afraid to say that the current president has to make sure that the security is in place. People are dying on the roads. And it also, I mean, let's face it, it does not encourage anybody to participate anymore in developing Nigeria. There are many people abroad who would like to come back home, but when they hear about the way people are dying, when they have to travel, that is very, very bad. So it is the current, everything is on the current president and governors, of course. Now, the problem that I find is that there is no more communication between federal and states. They are not communicating very well. Now, I don't know what's happened to the state governors. They seem to be afraid of the federal. They are not talking about their problems and trying to resolve the problems. So there are real problems here. That's on a short term. Longer term is a problem of human development. Many years ago, the Youth Service Corps was set up so that our youths will be properly trained and they will feel that they are all one. They could be trained anywhere in any part of Nigeria. I don't know what is happening to the youth service now. They are the ones supposed now to be civil servants, having been properly mentored. But if, in fact, we have failed there, then, we deserve what we are getting. We have tried everything, but we don't sustain these things. That's our problem. We do not sustain. I don't want to spend too long on this. I have been in government. I know many of the problems that people who are truthful and those who want to change, those who want changes for the better would go through. I'm not going to talk about that today. So, but I would like you please to comment on both the short-term and the long-term solutions. Short-term first, it's very important that we stop this killing on the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie.
Let me most sincerely thank
you.
Yes, let me most
God that those questions are for you and not for me. So please and take them up. What do we do with our present president and governors? What do we do? How do we make them do what is obviously right and they refuse to do it? And how do we ensure that come 2023, we have a very competent person in government? All those who are on Instagram, I want to shout out to you. Blessed Eduha, Susanna Events, Juliet Amechi, Abiodun, Dimeji Joseph, Valonome, Larakwe Uluyemi, Shadeni Creations, Elder Sheimo. I shout out to you. Thank you for being there on Instagram. I want to thank Viera also. Thomas Ponian, my good friend, thank you. Onyikon Chisa, I haven't seen you in a long time. Waju, Bridget, and Bimpe Balogun, my very good sister. Tayo Agumbiade, thank you for your comments. Adeswa, God bless you. I think I got a note from you recently. Congratulations. And Sonny Ozolua, thank you. So, Shehu, please answer those questions. I think you are more competent to answer them.
I want to thank the Honorable Minister, and I'm happy that she has been in the system. She clearly knows where the demarcations are. Number one, if perhaps she has been seeing me on channels or AIT and what have you, I've been picking this issue of insecurity straight on the head of the president, because the Constitution is very clear. The moment you are sworn in, your first responsibility is to protect lives and property. Any failure to protect lives and property, the president takes responsibility squarely. There is no excuse and there can never be excuse. And therefore, a lot of people have been talking about the killings that is going on everywhere. It's have ravaged everywhere. As I'm talking to you now, there is no particular zone that is not a victim of this insecurity. So it's a very tragic situation. And I've been on it, and so many other people, in fact, been hashed in everything that we talked about it, that the government must live up to its responsibility, up to its out of office of protection of lives and property. The moment the country is not secured, the moment people feel unsafe, it is very clear that you won't have any investors coming into the country. Even the domestic investors will not invest because their resources and their life are not safe. So it's a cardinal objective of any president to make sure that protection of life and property is a priority to him, whoever he is as a president. And he must take responsibility, because it's not acceptable for people to be killed like flies anyhow. You know, the number of people that we record every day being killed is unprecedented, and it's heartbreaking. So, two, the issue of governance, like you mentioned, there's a very huge gap between the presidency and the governors and the security agencies. Our expectations are simple. In every state, you have a commissioner of police, you have director of SSS, you have brigade commandant, you have military intelligence, you have civil defense, you have road safety, and so on and so forth. And they constitute part of state security council. You know, so if I was a chief of staff of a state, so I know what it is. I know issues that are being discussed that border on security in the states. And I know the expectations of governor, what he needed to do to reduce that gap of insecurity in the states. You know, his own contribution in running the security of the state as well. But like I have mentioned, some of the quality of the governors we have today are really something else. It's unbelievable. The way the security have gotten out of hand, the governors are not aware that a lot of crime and criminalities are going either in their localities or in their villages, because they feel that they are emperors. A villager cannot talk to a governor. A local government chairman will have no access to the governor. In fact, in some state, commissioners cannot call a governor and talk to him. That is the level that we have degenerated as a people. Our leadership disposition have degenerated so bad, have gotten so rotten. People have become arrogant emperors in positions of service to humanity. So these things that are happening are expected. There is no miracle about it. You know, if you are not connected to your people, you are not connected to your responsibility. You don't visit your community. You don't know what your community are going through. People are being maimed. People are being raped. People are being kidnapped. People are being slaughtered in their houses. And you have the audacity to hit your chest and say you are a governor of the state. I think it's a big shame. It's a big shame on most of the governors that are not living up to their responsibility. And because there is no deterrence, you know, I can give credit to former President Obasanjo. I'm not a fan of former President Obasanjo, but President Obasanjo have created deterrence. Before 1999, there was a suggestion of insecurity to virtually in all the zones of the country. And he was very on top of the situation. When it happens, he acted as a president very decisively. He created a deterrence, and everybody went back and took cover. And I thought that if such would have continued under this presidency, deterrence was created. Some of these excesses, some of this anarchy that we are seeing today in our street, in our home, will not take place. So I don't have any other country except Nigeria. I don't want to be an internally displaced person. Neither do I want to be a refugee. So I owe this country the truth and nothing but the truth. But the president must understand squarely that life matters. People must be protected. Properties must be protected. Take inventory the losses we had in Lagos, in all places during the NSAS, because jobless people took over the very beautiful program they intended to do to pass a message. And today, you know, you find out along the line, anarchy lured in, government property being vandalized, and there was no deterrence. So I want to thank you for this, and which you know clearly what I'm saying. There's a great disconnect because the governors travel, you know, luxuriously. live a very comfortable life. They don't know if you have malaria, if you are sick. They don't pay scholarship now. So what do you do? Because these are responsibility of governors. Enhance your educational system, pay scholarship for brilliant people in your state. It doesn't happen. They take away the money through security vote, buy properties everywhere, and we are talking about having a very good society. Unless we begin to elect people, we begin to make sacrifices and show for people not on the basis of ethnic or religious or regional issues, I think we have a long way to go.
Thank you very much, my brother. I think we need to
Thank
wrap
you.
up now. We've gone on for almost 2 hours. Typically, this program goes on for about 1.5 hours maximum. We don't want to wear the people out. Shehu, I want to thank you very, very much for being part of this program. You've spoken very, very well, and you've spoken candidly, and you've spoken the hearts of most people. I really appreciate you for that. I hope the SDP can get its act together. I hope you can find how to raise money to fight this battle. And I hope we can marshal together a strong team of credible servant leader Nigerians who will be ready to take the gauntlet of leadership of this country. John Gilbreth was saying all of the great leaders have had one characteristic in common. It was the willingness to confront unequivocally the major anxiety of their people in their time. This, and not much else, is the essence of leadership. And then, of course, Peter Drucker said, effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not attributes. And of course, my good friend Sheikh Al Maktoum says, a leader's job is to make his people happy. A leader's job is to make his people happy. And Harry S. Truman said, men make history and not the other way around. In periods where there's no leadership, society stands still. Shehu, you've shown leadership tonight, and I do pray that God will help us and help Nigeria to become great again. Thank you very much for coming. I will be calling you to so that we can meet at some stage like we promised to, and definitely to be sooner than later. I want to thank everybody that has been on this program. I've mentioned a few names. I don't want to mention any more, but we will be here same time next week at 5 o'clock. We will try our best not to take as much time, but today was so interesting and the gentleman had so much to give that I didn't want to interrupt him. I wanted him to bring out all that he had inside. I want to thank you all very, very much for being on this program tonight. So 5 o'clock.
Can I make a final note?
Yes, okay. Shehu, go ahead. You want to say?
Let me say that from the bottom of my heart, I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you, especially you that created this platform. When we had a discussion for more than 1 hour on the phone, you encouraged me, you motivated me to make a presentation. And this will remain very, very deep in my heart. And I can assure you that a lot of people like us are available, that are willing to make the sacrifice. The refugees we are having in Nigeria, if you visit the refugees camp, you will shed tears, nobody beats you. And we don't need to go to Nigeria is a very rich country. We don't need to go through what we are going through. I want to appeal to our sentiment, to our emotions, and let us try to keep it aside. Let us look at our humanity, what brought us together as a people, and move this country forward. I thank each and everybody that have participated in this program and for giving me the listening ears and for the decorum of everybody and for the modesty of everybody. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shehu. Thank you very, very much. As many people are willing to make a sacrifice for Nigeria, please step forward, bring yourself forward. To salvage this country will require a lot of sacrifice. I say a lot of the time, Nigeria is worth dying for. Nigeria is worth dying for. And when there's greatness, some people lose their lives virtually. Even if they don't die physically, they lose a lot of things to make things great. I think some of us should come together and try and pull Nigeria together and work very hard for ourselves and for the generations to come. Thank you all very much. God bless you. Have a pleasant weekend. God be with you. Anything. My cousin, Shehu, thank you very much. Bambo, good to see you. Let's keep in touch. Peter, look after our local government for us. Yalode, thank you very, very much. Happy New Year. Good to see you. Owele, thank you so much for being on this program. Ada Piafi, thank you. Ada Akpata, thank you. Gabriel Owosho, thank you. Ehimare, thank you. Yusuf Pam, thank you very much. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Kayode Oyebode, Reverend, God bless you. Alex Bora,
thank you.
See you. Long time.
Thank you. Well done, my brother.
God bless you. Peter, my old schoolmate from King's College, long time. Good to see you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Peter Onosode, thank you. Peter Majiaje, thank you. Samson Omole, thank you. Tony Yemeka, thank you. Adetutu, thank you.
It is good in London. We unlock
How
are you?
Blessing. Go and make some money. Tom Tom.
Pastor, how are you?
God bless you. Ukwa, Jimmy Morgan.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Tomero, the Banquero. Bola Adeshola, my sister, thank you so much. Babs Fajano, good to see you. Sibin Bolaji, Yomi Akinjide, Chinwe, Chigo. Chinwe, how are you? God bless you. Thank you so much. Margaret, thank you for being there. How's Mama? God bless you all. Veronica, John Moyo, bless you. Jimura, thank you. Philomena, my wife, God bless you. Onokaya, thank you very much. Anita, God bless you. Thank you all very much.
God bless you, Pastor.
The Vice Countess, God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you very, very much. Yes. Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. See you same time next week. It's the same reference, the same rooms and friends.
Thank you, sir.
And let's make a change in Nigeria. God bless you all. Good night.
God bless you too, sir. God bless you.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night, sir. Night.
Good night. Good night, Pastor.